Thank you for choosing to press the listen button and joining us today for another edition of Devotions with Brother Aaron. Today's devotion is entitled, A Used-to-Be World. 10 years ago, my wife and I took a motorcycle trip with our good friends, Pastor Randall Hodge and his wife, Kaye. We rode to Lumpkin, Georgia to visit Providence Canyon State Park, also known as the Little Grand Canyon. As we entered the park, I noticed an old white clapboard church with a cemetery on the right side of the road. It piqued my interest, and I told the others that on the way out, I wanted to stop and investigate. I've always been fascinated by old stuff like that. We strolled through the cemetery, noting names, birth dates, and death dates. Then we walked to the church. I was surprised to find it unlocked, so we went inside. It was evident that a congregation hadn't met there for many years. There was an old piano inside with as many stuck keys as playable ones. There was an old dilapidated pump organ in the left front corner of the sanctuary. There was also a pulpit, some wooden pews, an old wood-burning heater, and even a few hymnals left inside. As we walked back outside, a historic marker located in the far corner of the property caught my eye. As we walked toward the marker to read about the church's history, I turned to my pastor friend and said, "Now there's a sermon for you." He tilted his head slightly and ironically raised his eyebrow at me as if to ask, "What in the world are you talking about?" I continued, "Somewhere along the way, a congregation met here. This old sanctuary was filled with preaching, praying, singing, and shouting. Hearts were touched and lives were changed here. There were people here whose lives mattered to each other. They worshiped together, laughed together, and cried together. They both loved and were loved. Their young were married here, and their dead are buried here. They did life together here. Now, all that's left is a historical marker that tells the story of a church that used to be, and gravestones that tell the story of a people who used to be." Folks, the truth is that we're standing in the middle today, me and you, of somebody else's world. Sadly, our lives today are often filled with memories to our own used-to-be worlds. Photographs serve as memorials to couples about life before divorce, families before separation, health before a debilitating illness, youth before old age, and life before death. And sadly, yet again, many churches have become memorials to a world that used to be. I want to say that again. Many churches have become memorials to a world that used to be. Their focus is on what was rather than on what is or what can be. At 71 years of age, in both my personal and spiritual life, I've concluded that I'm not ready for my life to become nothing more than a historical marker to a used-to-be world. Oh yeah, I realize that things change and that soon enough, my life on earth will be nothing more than a passing memory and a footnote in the annals of time. That's why I'm doing the best I can to leave a legacy worth honoring. However, in the process, I don't want to miss the joy of life today. I don't want to live in a used-to-be world. Bill Gaither took pen to hand and penned the lyrics to a song he titled, "Because He Lives." I'm thankful he didn't entitle it, "Because He Used to Live." The chorus reads, "Because He lives, I can face tomorrow. Because He lives, all fear is gone. Because I know He holds the future, and life is worth the living just because He lives." In John 10:10, Jesus says, "The thief cometh not but to steal and to kill and to destroy. I am come that they might have life, and that they might have it more abundantly." The simple truth is this: when you allow the enemy to steal your joy, you start living in a used-to-be world. However, when you determine that life is worth the living just because He, Jesus, lives, you begin to live the more abundant life. Are you living the more abundant life today? Or are you living in a used-to-be world? Lord, please help us embrace today. Let us live in the joy of today. And while we honor yesterday and all that entails, help us not to set up housekeeping there. Let us live as the Latin word carpe diem states, seize the day. God, help us to seize the day today. And I ask this in your name, amen and amen.